tonight on CTV News at 6. After conducting a search warrant,
we've prevented a large amount of poison from going onto our streets within our community.
Police in Sault Ste. Marie unveil the biggest drug bust in the city, with cuts coming to North Bay's hospital.
The staff are scared, furious, disheartened, disgusted.
The union says a wide range of workers will be affected, and it's coming to an end.
We're actively working with the employer to make sure there is no layoff or any kind of job reduction in our bargaining unit specifically.
Fraser Mine in Greater Sudbury is winding down.
CTV News at 6 with Tony Ryma and Rick Wyman with weather.
Good evening. Thanks for being with us on this Monday. A huge drug bust for Sault Ste. Marie police. More than $1.5 million in drugs and cash were recently seized. CTV's Corey Nordstrom tells us more.
More than $1.4 million worth of illicit drugs and over $124,000 in Canadian currency, making this the largest drug seizure in the history of the Sault Ste. Marie Police Service.
The historic drug bust is made up of large quantities of suspected methamphetamine, cocaine, oxycodone, and fentanyl. It all stems from an October 21st search warrant that police executed in a multi-residential unit on Princess Crescent.
I would say that the sheer magnitude of the seizure is very significant. We've prevented a large amount of poison from going onto our streets within our community, and this is about community safety and saving lives. And if that's the case, if we even only saved one life or prevented one overdose, then I would say that's a positive win for us and the community.
20-year-old DeJour Jones from Toronto faces 4 trafficking-related charges and 1 charge for possessing property obtained by crime. In addition to the roughly 10 kilograms or 23 pounds of drugs, officers also located drug cutting agents, packing materials, as well as 3 weigh scales and 5 cell phones.
I can't attribute that this person is affiliated with any specific group. What I can tell you is that the sheer amount of drugs that you see before you and the packaging involved, that this person was organized.
Police officials wouldn't go into the details on how this arrest took place, other than saying that it was a long investigation that used intelligence-led policing and that the investigation remains ongoing.
If more people are identified, then they will be exposed and treated accordingly.
Corey Nordstrom, CTV News, Sault Ste. Marie.
A Toronto man has been charged after an OPP drug trafficking investigation in Cobalt. A 24-year-old was stopped by police around 3 Friday afternoon in Timmins Shores. A search of the vehicle revealed fentanyl, cocaine, a loaded handgun, and $1,300 in cash. The man is now facing 7 drug and weapons-related charges. A month-long investigation in Cochrane has come to an end with charges being laid against a local man. Provincial police were investigating break-ins and thefts at businesses and private properties around town. The stolen items were recovered after 2 search warrants were executed this month at separate residences. A 32-year-old from Cochrane was hit with 16 charges, including 7 counts of possession of property obtained by crime. A Sudbury driver is facing several charges after he fled from police Sunday during a traffic stop. Police say the 22-year-old was pulled over after he was observed driving in an unsafe manner around 2:30 Sunday morning. While officers were preparing to administer a roadside screening test, the man drove away, striking a parked cruiser and another vehicle. Police were able to finally locate and arrest the man. For this story and much more, visit our website, CTVNewsNorthernOntario.ca. And North Bay police are looking for 3 suspects who tried to use counterfeit money. Police say it's an ongoing investigation and weren't able to provide any specifics other than the suspects used counterfeit money at a local retailer. Anyone with information on the suspect's identity or whereabouts is asked to contact police or Crime Stoppers. As many as 40 layoffs were announced last week at North Bay's hospital. Today, the union is criticizing hospital leadership and the Ford government for playing down the potential impact to patient services. CTV's Eric Tashner reports.
We are not going to take these cuts laying down.
Staff morale is very low at the North Bay Regional Health Centre after devastating cutbacks were announced last week.
The staff are scared, furious, disheartened, disgusted, and they're saying, yeah, I'm probably just going to leave and go on to those jobs outside of healthcare.
The job cuts are a major setback, the union says. 40 full-time and part-time positions will be eliminated.
We had just had a meeting 6 weeks prior to this where the employer is required to disclose to the union if there's going to be any cuts, and if there are going to be cuts, they need to work with us from the beginning stages of planning on minimizing the number of cuts. They never told that it was going to happen.
Affected positions include nurses, PSWs, clerical staff, a pharmacy technician, and a patient food service worker. However, the hospital says actual layoffs could be much lower when retirement and attrition are factored in, as well as the fact 14 new roles are being created.
And we're not going to let this issue go. We're going to pursue this because we're afraid this 40 is going to be another 60 and then another 100, and there'll be downsizing of beds.
The hospital is also realigning the number of physician leadership roles starting January 1st. This is a reduction of 20%, but with no change in doctor numbers, as it looks to find $5.6 million in savings. Nipissing MPP Vic Fideli says these job cuts won't affect patient care. Writing, for the North Bay Regional Health Centre, annual funding has grown by $49.3 million since 2020, representing a nearly 20% increase. The union disagrees.
They're out of touch with reality and don't work on the front lines. They don't have to look in their patient's eyes and say, I won't be back for 15 minutes. I have to go take care of another patient. We're short again today.
CUPE plans to hold a town hall meeting in December, along with rallies calling for changes within the healthcare system. Eric Tashner, CTV News, North Bay.
Now to our weather, a pretty nice fall day out there. What does this week hold? Days away from Halloween. For more on that, here's CTV's Rick Wyman.
Tony, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and perhaps some rain come Friday for the trick-or-treaters. Our systems map right now. This system approaching northeastern Ontario. We'll have further details as the week progresses, and of course right now Environment Canada calling for some showers, anywhere from 40 to 60% chance come Friday for the trick-or-treaters. So depending on when that rainfall hits, it could be affecting some outings for the kids coming up. We'll have some details on that. Sunrise, sunsets, and of course the current temperature is just minutes away. Tony?
Thanks so much for that, Rick. Sudbury Business has raised more than $60,000 for the local hospital by playing games. Good Manners Real Estate Group recently hosted its third annual Game for Good. The event, including a live stream video game marathon along with 24 hours of games and fun to raise money for the Health Sciences North Foundation. $25,000 was raised this year, bringing the three-year total to more than $60,000. It's the end of the line. Still to come on CTV News at 6. Fraser Mine in Greater Sudbury is closing. But first, we are off to the city of Elliott Lake. This live webcam is of the Miners Memorial. It's 11 Celsius. We will return after this commercial break.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Mining company Glencore is working on plans to close one of its mines in Greater Sudbury, and the union is making sure its members stay working elsewhere within the company. That story right now from CTV's Angela Gemmell.
Traffic goes in and out of this entrance in Levac, where there are several production sites belonging to Glencore, Sudbury Integrated Nickel Operations. That includes Fraser Mine, due to close by the end of this year. No one from Glencore was available for an interview, but provided a written statement saying, in part, "We are committed to managing this transition in a transparent, respectful, and collaborative manner. Throughout the closure and rehabilitation process, our top priorities will remain on health, safety, and environmental stewardship." Almost 200 production and maintenance workers are based at Fraser Mine. Most will be moved to other Glencore operations in Sudbury.
In our collective agreement, the protections that we bargained, we don't foresee any job loss in our bargaining unit. So that's positive, but it's also things could change. Things change all the time, right? So we're actively working with the employer to make sure there is no layoff or any kind of job reduction in our bargaining unit specifically.
Glencore says there will be new opportunities at its Onaping Depth project, also in Levac, where it's ramping up operations.
Onaping Depth to Craig Mine, that's a project currently. Not work we normally do, but again, in our collective agreement, we've negotiated protections that basically say if there's any kind of disruption or job loss, that our members will take over the work of the contractors that are doing the work currently at Craig Mine, which is, from my estimates, around 250 positions open. Well, not open, but available.
The only issue is there could be a 6-month stretch between Fraser closing and Onaping Depth opening.
To me, it makes a lot more sense to keep people working throughout this transition position or transition period. And then once the mine's in full production, then we're back to where we were.
Last year, 553,000 tons of ore came out of Fraser Mine, where nickel, copper, and other minerals have been mined since 1963. But the final production of ore will happen in December. Angela Gemmell, CTV News, Levac.
Work will soon wrap up for the winter on a major rehabilitation project in Greater Sudbury. Work has been underway all summer on a 1.7-kilometer stretch of Junction Creek in the Flour Mill neighborhood. The project manager says crews are roughly halfway through the entire work, with the rest to be completed next year. The $17 million project included excavation of the creek bed. With construction winding down for the winter, certain areas will reopen to the public.
They're going to be installing a fence alongside the new walk path right beside the creek. So until everything's actually completed, like we will reopen the park, but we're still going to delineate, the work area from the public to ensure that people can still use the park and that we can also complete our work.
And the project is being funded through the federal government. Smooth Rock Falls is moving forward on a project that will add more affordable housing within the community. After reviewing proposals, the town chose Descon Construction as the contractor for its Attainable Community Housing project. With a need for more housing, particularly for seniors, council approved the project last spring. Before any specific decisions are made, the town wants to hear from interested residents, but the project manager expects between 20 and 30 units and many to be geared for seniors.
We think there's a need for senior housing. I looked at the demographics in advance. I've met with the council, and right now the feeling is there is a need for seniors, but hey, there could be a need for other housing. We're quite capable of building anything.
And public meetings are set for November 19th. A concerning new report from Food Banks Canada is sounding the alarm on poverty and hunger. But is the urgency being missed by politicians? CTV's Scott Hurst explains.
There is soaring demand for food banks in this country from coast to coast, ultimately meaning a desperate need for just basic nutrition for so many Canadians, and not just by the most vulnerable. The latest hunger count by Food Banks Canada released today shows monthly visits to food banks have doubled since 2019, with almost 2.2 million visits in March 2025 alone. And nearly 1 in 5 people going to food banks are actually employed, meaning they have jobs and a stable income, yet are still unable to make ends meet. And officials point out that's even more troubling, as the food bank system they claim is no longer sustainable in a way it was meant to operate as a last resort, not a primary source of food and nutrition for millions of Canadians. The CEO of Food Banks Canada is concerned, despite the urgency, governments are not stepping up enough, and that poverty and hunger are now normalized in this country.
We've been saying this for years. It doesn't feel like the urgency is reaching the halls of power in Canada. And it concerns me about the food banks themselves. How can we absorb this infinite growth? But it also concerns me as a country.
Food banks are also seeing more seniors and young people. In fact, a third of all food bank visitors this past year were children. That's hundreds of thousands of children every month relying on food banks to fill their bellies. Scott Hurst, CTV News, Toronto.
As of today, flu shots and COVID-19 vaccines are available to the general public in Ontario. The shots are being administered at pharmacies, some public health units, and participating doctor and nurse practitioner offices. The shots are now widely available after initially being offered to higher risk groups. RSV shots are also being offered to eligible seniors, pregnant women, infants up to 8 months old, and children up to 2 years old who are at high risk. Back now for a check on your current conditions. Once again, here's Rick.
Something else will have to get going, Tony. A flu shot for the winter season coming up. Sunrise, sunset. Let's have a look at some of the numbers now. Greater Sudbury for tomorrow, 8:05. The sun will rise, 6:17. It sets in Sault Ste. Marie, 8:13 at 6:27. Timmins, 8:05 at 6:11. Timiskaming Shores, 7:56 at 6:07, and in North Bay, 7:53 for the sunrise, 6:08 for the sunset. Don't forget time change coming up just a couple of days away. That'll happen early Sunday morning. Very clear skies, and according to Environment Canada, the last half hour or so, some of the conditions: 15 in Moosonee, Cochrane at 3, Timmins at 10, Kapuskasing 13. Meanwhile, in Chapleau, we've got 11. We've got Wawa, mainly cloudy skies at 9. In Sault Ste. Marie, partly cloudy at 10. Down Highway 69, Perry Sound, some clear conditions at 10 as well. In North Bay, Timiskaming Shores and Kirkland Lake, nice night there, 7, 8, and 9. And of course, here we go. Sudbury, Nickel Belt 8, Espanola 10, Elliott Lake 9, and Gore Bay at 11. Your 7-day forecast, and I've got a spooky pick of the day coming up in just a couple of minutes. Tony, you'll like it.
Can't wait. Thanks so much, Rick. Feeling the heat. Next on CTV News at 6. Premier Ford is taking flack over an Ontario ad featuring a former U.S. president. And Prime Minister Carney is answering questions about the breakdown in trade talks. The Premier is defending an anti-tariff ad which is being blamed for a breakdown in international trade talks between Canada and the U.S. Doug Ford says the ad has been a major success, while critics say the Premier has overstepped and is putting Canadian jobs on the line. CTV's Siobhan Morris has that story.
On the floor of the Ontario Legislature,
it was the most successful ad in the history of North America.
In interviews on American TV,
I don't regret it at all.
Premier Doug Ford unrepentant about an anti-tariff ad featuring the voice of Ronald Reagan that's derailed trade talks.
Well, as we say, mission accomplished. It was done. They're talking about it in the U.S., and they weren't talking about it before I put the ad on.
Ford says the goal was always conversation. No guilt that a deal on steel and aluminum may have been close before Donald Trump intervened over the ad.
There's no mention whatsoever of auto. I feel like it slipped to the side. I'm going to fight for the auto workers, the steel workers, the manufacturing.
The opposition sees this as an unforced error.
What they did with that ad, it wasn't smart. There's a good chance Ontarians are going to pay with their jobs.
Calling on Ford to worry about the jobs already at risk in the province.
Instead, the Premier is focused on an ad campaign that's there to, boost his ego, make him feel like a big guy.
We need to be united as Team Canada and not have individual premiers go rogue.
Ford insists the Prime Minister had seen the ad and didn't tell him to keep quiet.
Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Prime Minister Mark Carney is answering questions for the first time since U.S. President Donald Trump terminated trade talks with Canada over Ontario's anti-tariff ad. While Trump says the two leaders have no plans to meet, Carney says progress was being made up until last week. CTV's Judy Trin has the latest.
The Prime Minister began his day with a meeting with Malaysia's Anwar Ibrahim, the fourth leader from Southeast Asia that he has sat down with at ASEAN. But the one-on-one he needs is slipping out of reach.
Whether it's provincial or Canada itself, they all knew exactly what the ad was. I don't want to meet with them. No, I'm not going to be meeting with them for a while.
Mark Carney revealed he has not spoken to Donald Trump since the U.S. president broke off trade talks on Thursday. Trump ended negotiations over an anti-tariff ad that the Ontario government commissioned, just as the federal team was close to getting tariff relief for steel and aluminum. The Prime Minister was asked if he was upset with Doug Ford.
You can get unexpected twists and turns, and you have to keep your cool. We had made progress to repeat, and we stand by the progress that had been made.
Trump is also threatening to add 10% more tariffs on top of existing ones. When those take effect is uncertain. It's a stunning reversal from Carney's last White House visit just 3 weeks ago.
How did your relationship with Donald Trump go south so fast?
It's a question for him.
Carney has considered the possibility the U.S. is toying with Canada and doesn't want to negotiate.
I'm not about to detail those contingency plans. I said this before I was elected, emphasize the importance of us giving ourselves far more than any foreign government could take away.
At the ASEAN summit, Carney said Canada would increase by 50% its non-U.S. exports over the next decade. That would amount to $300 billion.
Trump may not want to sit down with Carney, but the president of China does. Xi Jinping and Carney will have a bilateral meeting in South Korea. The two leaders want to recalibrate the relationship between their two countries. Judy Trin, CTV News, Kuala Lumpur.
The U.S. National Hurricane Center issuing warnings about a Category 5 hurricane expected to bring potentially catastrophic winds, dangerous storm surge, and life-threatening amounts of rain to Jamaica. Forecasters expect Hurricane Melissa to turn to the north and move over Jamaica tonight and into tomorrow morning. On its current track, Melissa could be the strongest hurricane to hit Jamaica since record-keeping began in 1851. And thank goodness we don't have to endure those conditions. Here's Rick now with your full weather forecast.
Okay, Tony, big shout out going out to Marcel. I met his lovely wife, Louise, last week, who told me that Marcel is an avid weather fan. So, Marcel, this forecast is for you. Thank you for watching there, buddy. Forecast radar, we've got some precipitation coming in to the northeast by the end of the week. You can see this system just swirling about, some cloud cover and all, by about supper time on Wednesday. That's what it's going to look like. How about some overnight conditions? Generally clear across the northeast. Here we go. Sudbury, Sault Ste. Marie, Timmins, Temiskaming Shores, and the North Bay. Just a few clouds in the Soo. Meanwhile, Moosehead clear. A few clouds in Caphurst. Wawa, a few clouds. Gore Bay and Parry Sound clear. Some of those temperatures -2, -3, and -4. How about your 7-day forecast? Sudbury Nickel Belt Tuesday at 10, cloud cover Wednesday at 9, sunshine Thursday at 9. Here we go. Halloween, 60% chance of showers. Saturday, chance of showers at 5, and Sunday, time change, don't forget, at 4 degrees. Meanwhile, in Algoma and Sault Ste. Marie, mainly sunny tomorrow. Wednesday, sunny skies. Thursday, sunshine at 12 and 11. Your temperatures come Friday. For the trick-or-treaters, we've got cloud cover in 7. Saturday, chance of sleet at 30%, only 5. Time change Sunday, 6 degrees, and the chance of sleet. Once again, normally you're sitting at about 7. Let's take a look now at Timmins Cochrane Campus Casing. Sunshine for 3 consecutive days, 9 and 10 your temperatures. Halloween Friday, precipitation and 4, low of only 1. Chance of sleet Saturday and Sunday. So 4 your high Saturday, and again time change on Sunday at 4 degrees, a shade below normal, which is about 5 for this time of the year. Moving on over to Temiskaming Shores, Kirkland Lake. We've got sunshine for 3 consecutive days at 10 and 9 and even 8 by Thursday. Halloween Friday, we've got precipitation, only 4 degrees, your daytime high. Saturday, chance of showers at 4 and 4 degrees again come Sunday, time change Sunday. And a lot of people are going to have to be reminded time and time again about the time change, because they'll wake up Sunday morning and you know what's going to happen. They'll forget all about it, going, what time is it? What's going on here? Your normal for this time of the year, by the way, sitting at around 6, so those weekend temperatures slightly below. North Bay and West Nipissing, here we go. Sunshine, sun and cloud and sunshine Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 10 and 9 your temperatures. Halloween Friday, chance of precipitation once again, only 4, sorry about that. Saturday, chance of showers at 5 and 5, time change Sunday with precipitation. So here we go again. It's going to be a mix of pretty well everything over the course of the next couple of days. Sorry about Friday. Let's have a look now at our pick of the day. Thank you, Sharon Falconer. Well, my wife attended this in Wanapitei, the Riverside Terror. Great idea. It's on for one more night. You don't want to miss it, so I'm told. My wife says it's great. It's only $10 to get in. Kids 12 and under, $5, but all proceeds go to the HSN Foundation. So have a few laughs, get frightened. Do it at the Riverside Terror on Riverside Drive in Wanapitei. Tony has more news after the break.
It's a first for the city. It's called Spirit of Sudbury, and it's happening Saturday, November 15th. And to tell us more, the president of the organization, Mark Levine, now joins us. Welcome.
Thank you, Tony.
So tell us about Spirit of Sudbury. Why hold this event?
My partner and I, David Franco, have been doing Scotch tastings, Scotch nosings, whiskey tastings, whiskey nosing for a lot of years, and we've attended many sophisticated events, and we could not find anything of that at that level here in Sudbury. So we decided, why can't we have that here in our own community? And that's how the whole idea started.
What kind of spirits are you going to be offering on the 15th?
Well, we are mega Scotch drinkers, but we will have whiskeys, Scotches, gins, vodkas, any kind of spirit that the distillers want to bring will be available for tasting.
And where are these distillers coming from? Are they from abroad? Are they local?
The local one we have is Crosscut, that we know and love very, very well, but we have all of the distillers from across the province coming from all over to participate in this inaugural event for Spirit of Sudbury.
So there's going to be spirits. You have to have food and music, right?
Of course, of course. And even before the actual tasting starts, we have a master class. A gentleman by the name of Stuart Brown, who is the first Canadian National Whiskey Ambassador, will offer a master class on blends versus malts versus whiskeys, and give us a whole kick and caboodle about that from 5 to 6. After that, we'll have the general admission come in at 6:30. We will have food provided by Neshi's Catering, which will be free all night. People can eat anything they want throughout the evening. And we also have a nice jazz trio that will be doing ambiance music for the event.
We're telling people, obviously, to drink responsibly because we don't want anybody caught on the roads.
Absolutely not. This is a tasting event. You'll be sampling stuff from different distillers. There will be drinks for sale because some of the vendors will have specialty drinks with their own alcohol that they'll want to showcase. But no, it's definitely not a place to get drunk and to have 45 drinks. We're there to taste and appreciate all the taste that you can have.
What's the cost for the event, Mark?
Right now we're at an early bird ticket is $150 until October 31st. It'll go to $175 after that. For the master class, the tickets are $75.
And tell us very quickly, what about this master class? Let's dig a little deeper into that.
Okay, so there will be 5 different whiskeys to sample. So Stuart Brown, our expert, will guide us through tasting each one of them, telling us what we should be tasting, what the nose tastes, what the palate tastes, and we will talk with him, and he will have stories that will blow your mind. We've met him a couple of times through Zoom calls. His whiskey cave is insane. And we were talking just about before getting on air here that you've been to the Alibi Room. Well, imagine the Alibi Room times 3. That's his whiskey cave.
Mark, good luck with the event. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
That was Mark Levine. He was our guest. And to learn more about the event, head to spiritofsudbury.com. If you're more of a wine drinker, chances are you've been trying and tasting Ontario wines. As CTV's Robert Lothian explains the trade war with the U.S. uncorked profits for vineyards.
Across about 12 acres of grapes, Colchester Ridge is in the midst of a busy season. With only 2 varieties left to pick, this one is already being chalked up as a success.
The growing season is always good in this area.
Producing wine-quality grapes requires certain weather conditions, a mix of hot, dry conditions throughout the summer and early fall made for the perfect mix.
When we have excessive rains and things of this nature, the berries swell up, they take on all the moisture, and that waters down the sugars that are available in the grapes. So the drier it is, the sweeter our grapes.
It's been a hot and heavy one. We've pulled in a lot more grapes than we ever have before.
Sprucewood Shores President Steve Mitchell says success is also growing outside the vineyard. The LCBO is reporting sales of Ontario VQA wines made strictly from Ontario grapes are up 67% compared to this time last year.
Most years when we have a good year, you might see 4 or 5% growth. That would be a solid growth year. It's 70%, so it's actually gone bonkers.
Mitchell credits a shift in provincial policy that includes Ontario's boycotting of most U.S. spirits and wine as part of the ongoing trade war.
In the era of trade wars and people basically looking at what we're buying from and what we're buying, it makes a lot of sense for us to buy and grow something here that we can make. To buy from somewhere else is just another trade imbalance.
Ever since they removed the American wines from the shelf, they had to make up the shortfall, so they started to promote our wines.
While there's no telling when U.S. wines will return to Ontario shelves, producers in Essex County are confident new customers are here to stay. Robert Lothian, CTV News, Harrow.
A Timmins man is getting ready to open his haunted mansion. It's been a popular venue every Halloween for nearly a decade. Details now from CTV's Lydia Chubak.
The haunted Brimstone Mansion in Timmins is ready for another showing this Halloween.
I'm sure you taste much better when you're afraid.
Ron Lapine and his volunteers begin setting up this ghastly multi-room freak show in September. Lapine says he and his sponsors have forked out tens of thousands of dollars over the past 9 years, and the crew puts in around 4,300 hours to get it ready and take it all down. But it's a labor of love for his grandchildren and his wife, who's battling cancer.
And every year she stays alive. I said I'd do it, so I'm hoping to be able to continue. But it's getting harder. Help has been slow in coming, and it's something that the children start here in September asking me if I'm going to do it. So, and I'm going, how do you tell 8 and 9 and 10-year-olds that no? And honestly, I find that somebody has to help the city do something. And I find there's not enough for the children. And where there is, well, some of them can't afford to go.
Everyone is welcome to tour the spooky mansion and get acquainted with some of the creepy ghouls. All Lapine asks for in return is a donation for the Timmins Food Bank, $2 a person, and a can of food.
We may have a job to do, throughout the year, but sometimes we got to give back, and this is our way of giving back. And we give 100% back to the food bank.
He says he collects at least 3,000 pounds of food and close to $3,000. His busiest year yet was over 5,000 trick-or-treaters. Lapine says the experience takes about 15 to 20 minutes, and everyone will leave with some treats. The haunted Brimstone Mansion will be open on October 29th, 30th, and 31st from 5:30 to 9:30, and maybe even later depending on the lineups. The address is 1094 Chestnut Lane. Lydia Chubak, CTV News, Timmins.
As some look toward Halloween, for others, it's time to start planning ahead for winter fun. The outdoor winter market returns with more magic and community spirit. The market starts November 8th and runs until the 28th. The market includes vendors, live music, cultural programming, mini train rides, Santa Claus, and so much more. And Santa Claus will be making stops across the north next month, including Sudbury. The Sudbury Santa Claus Parade released its plan today, outlining a larger route than last year. The parade will start and end on the Notre Dame and St. Anne's intersection, following Elgin to Elm, then down Durham and up Lisgar before heading back to Elm and St. Anne's. Organizers say the theme is Christmas movies and encourage float designers to take inspiration from their favorite holiday films.
It's a little bit bigger than we've had for the past few years. The parade gets a tremendous amount of turnout, so we wanted to give people more opportunities for great viewing spots, a little bit more room to stretch out, and some opportunities to engage with some restaurants and businesses downtown to get some snacks and treats and all the exciting things that make Christmas fun.
Santa will be making stops in North Bay on Sunday, November 16th at noon. Next will be the Sioux, Saturday, November 22nd at 5 p.m., followed by the Sudbury Parade at 5:30 p.m. the same day. And Timmins will round out Santa's tour with lights, music, and magic at 6 p.m. on November 22nd as well. He's a busy guy. New offerings for the public still ahead on CTV News at 6. Yes Theatre in Sudbury announces its lineup for 2026.
Clothing consideration provided by
Fashion Fair. Beautiful clothing for today's woman, where quality makes the difference.
Cambrian College's pre-service firefighter education and training has collaborated with the Minister of Natural Resources, allowing students to enroll in a Fire 1 course. The course trains students on wildland firefighting. The course is being offered as an elective to the core curriculum that will take place throughout the regular semester. Students taking the course will still have to take the physical test associated with the Fire 1 course separately to be qualified for M&R positions. Cambrian College officials say that the new offering allows students greater employability after graduation.
They know it's going to be extremely competitive to find qualified people, and I think it's a real asset to the college and the local community to have these individuals who will also be trained in structural firefighting, who will also be trained in wildland firefighting and certified in both. To be part of this community, and it really opens up a lot of different employment options for these students.
Cambrian College reserved 16 seats for this year's program, which are now full. Tessier says the college plans to reserve more seats next year. It was a busy weekend for northern teams in the OHL. Friday night was a big win for the Sudbury Wolves, who beat the Barrie Colts 5-3. The Greyhounds weren't as lucky, dropping their game against the Peterborough Petes 4-3 in overtime. The North Bay Battalion were in Brampton Saturday, where they lost to the Steelheads 3-1. The Peterborough Petes would end their northern road swing in the penalty box at the Sudbury Community Arena Sunday. The Wolves scored 3 power play goals and a shorthanded goal in their 8-2 victory over the Petes. And the North Bay Battalion road woes continued Sunday with another loss, this time to the Kitchener Rangers. And a heads up to Wolves and Greyhound fans, the two teams will face off Wednesday in Sudbury. The game time will be 6 p.m. to accommodate the Jays-Dodgers game that starts at 8 o'clock. October has been a great month for the Sioux Thunderbirds. They've won 7 of their last 9 games, catapulting them into second place. Sudbury, Powassan, and Espanola are all tied with 21 points apiece. In the bottom half of the standings, French River and the Sioux Eagles continue to fall further behind as the season goes on. Brad Jacobs and Team Canada are champions again, this time at the U.S. Steel Pan Continental Curling Championship. Team Canada won the gold medal 7-3 over Team USA. This is the 3rd time Canadians have won gold in the Pan Continental's 4-year history. And the Henderson Medal Fall Classic Curling Championship wrapped up yesterday in Sault Ste. Marie. Team Casper of Minnesota played an action-packed final against Team Retournaz to win the title and a $24,000 check. From the ice to the hardwood, the basketball season will get underway late December in Sudbury. Sudbury 5 announcing today their home opener will be December 29th against the Lake Erie Jackals. Yes Theatre is announcing its full lineup of production for the 2026 season. The shows will take place at the Sudbury Theatre Centre and the downtown outdoor venue, the Refectorio. CTV's Alan Everson reports.
Yes Theatre Artistic and Managing Director Alessandro Constantini unveils the 2026 season. He says a lot of thought goes into the selection process for productions each year.
The season that we've assembled this year, I think, really achieves our intention of being locally driven and world-class. So we are working with incredible local artists here in our community to tell these incredible, brilliant stories, some that are new, some that have been developed right here in Sudbury, some that have been taking over the world for decades and years.
One summertime production, City Medicine, is written by local playwright Sarah Gartshaw in collaboration with people who live on the street in Sudbury.
So we were looking at the crisis that we're facing in downtown and the crisis that many Canadian cities are facing, and we wanted to do something about it. We wanted to bring people together to talk about the crisis in a really hopeful and meaningful way.
Constantini says there is something for everyone in the 2026 lineup.
We have Disney's Frozen. We have Canada's most successful theatre piece, Come From Away. We have a David Bowie concert and Queen concert, Sinatra concert that's going to be happening. And we have an original Canadian musical that we have commissioned here in Sudbury called Way Out There that will be opening this season.
Constantini says Yes Theatre amalgamated with the STC in 2023. And at that point, there were 90 subscribers. And there are now over 1,300 in just 3 seasons. The artistic director says the major uptick comes at a time when many theater organizations across the country are seeing a decline in subscriptions. Alana Everson, CTV News, Sudbury.
An opinion on AI and an emotional new drama. David Daniel has those stories in tonight's Hollywood Report.
Oscar-winning filmmaker Guillermo del Toro says he would rather die than use generative AI. He told NPR, "I hope to be able to remain uninterested in using it at all until I croak." The Frankenstein director says his Victor is similar to the tech bros. He's kind of blind, creating something without considering the consequences.
I just don't want to forget them. My mom's trying to make it like my dad never even existed.
McKenna Grace runs the gamut of emotions in Colleen Hoover's Regretting You. Co-stars Allison Williams, Dave Franco, and Mason Thames were impressed.
McKenna's able to kind of tap into these deep emotions so quickly in a way that I don't think I've ever seen before. And then Josh, our director, calls cut, and she's just in a good mood, and she's joking around, and she's doodling.
I don't know, I just like to be very positive and energetic wherever I go, just because I think it's better than
McKenna all around is just a good vibe on set. Like it's.
I try.
Yeah, I mean, like I show up on set in the mornings and she's like, "Oh, where's McKenna? Where's McKenna? Where's she at?"
Colleen Hoover's Regretting You is now in theaters. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Cybercrime cost Canadians more than $630 million last year in various scams, and many of the victims were seniors. A couple contacted CTV News to say what started with a pop-up on their computer screen led them to losing their entire life savings. CTV's Pat Foran has details.
In Brantford, a couple were living their lives and enjoying their retirement, but in March, while using their computer, a warning popped up.
I couldn't get rid of it. I tried Control-Alt-Delete, and it wouldn't go away. It wouldn't turn off.
The man and woman, both in their 70s, asked us not to identify them as they're still coping with losing their entire life savings. When they called the number on the screen, they were told their accounts had been hacked, and it appeared he was involved in criminal activity.
My SIN number had been compromised and was being used for money laundering by a criminal organization that was involved in child pornography, human trafficking, and drugs.
They were told their money in the bank was at risk of being stolen and they needed to get it out to protect it. After 2 months of grooming the couple with daily calls, they told them to take their money out by purchasing gold bars and to put some in a Bitcoin machine. They purchased $900,000 in gold and over $100,000 in Bitcoin. The criminals said they would hold on to the money to keep it safe and give it back when the investigation was complete. Despite warnings from their bank, they still went through with it.
But our financial advisor warned us. She said, "Oh, this sort of sounds like fraud."
Eventually, when they had no more money to give, the scammers cut off all contact with them. That's when they realized they'd been duped.
Oh, we're devastated. It sounds very foolish that somebody would do something like this, but it was the trust that was built up over 5 months.
Every day, Canadians are losing their life savings.
The Canadian Association of Retired Persons, CARP, says banks need to do more to protect vulnerable seniors from scams.
Canadian banks should be doing more beyond education, but really setting up the infrastructure to protect seniors.
The couple says they're now financially ruined, and the chance of recovering any of the funds is almost zero.
It was money that we invested over our lives. It was money that we inherited. It was money from the sale of our house. It was
money we were going to leave our son.
Pat Foran, CTV News.
On Wednesday, Amazon is expected to report earnings, but before that, the tech giant may be cutting its workforce. BNN Bloomberg's Marilla Fernandez has more.
There is a report tonight that Amazon will be cutting 30,000 jobs and that it starts tomorrow. Reuters is reporting management jobs are being slashed, and the cut represents about 10% of Amazon's corporate staff. The last time Amazon cut this deep was in late 2022 and early 2023, when it shed 27,000 jobs. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is up a fraction to 71.48. West Texas Intermediate crude is up to 61.58. Western Canadian Select is down 27 cents to 48.72. And the TSX lost 77 points today to end the day at 30,275. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
And here are the current prices for some key commodities we watch. Gold down $119.76, closing the day at $39.9377 US an ounce. Silver slipped $1.64 to end the day at $46.96. Copper up 3 cents to $4.94, and nickel down a penny, ending the day at $6.84 US a pound. And Rick is back now for one last look at your Tuesday weather.
Pretty easy for tomorrow, Tony. Let's have a look at some of the conditions and the numbers. 10 in Sudbury, Timmins 10, and Sault Ste. Marie 12. All sunny skies. Meanwhile, North Bay, Parry Sound, Temiskaming Shores 10, 13, and 10. Parry Sound, the hot spot. Talk about hot. Max Scherzer going tonight. Mad Max, Tony, how about this for a realistic projection? Jays come through tonight to take a 2-1 series lead. I'm going to go 5-3. How's that?
Yeah, I say Jays win too. Thanks so much for that, Rick. And that's our show. Thanks so much for watching CTV News at 6. I'm Tony Ryma. More news comes your way at 11:30 with Ian Campbell. Good night.